Hello and welcome to your U.S. weather update for March 9th, 2023. We have a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Here are our current conditions. We have a low pressure system in the Midwest, which is currently bringing a winter storm to the northern plains, and that's going to be heading into the Northeast as well, with rain, including a marginal risk of flash flooding across the southern plains heading into Dixie Alley. You'll notice some thunderstorms there in Alabama heading into Georgia, that line of training storms there that could cause some concerns as well, and then that long arc of storms stretching all the way from central Illinois all the way down into Texas. And again, we have winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, things of that nature stretching all the way from North Dakota into the Northeast regarding that system. You'll also notice that massive rain moving into California. That's associated with an atmospheric river. We have flood watches in effect for that and numerous winter storm warnings in effect as well in higher elevations. This is a serious threat that we'll be talking about in short order, but those are the two main things we're going to talk about in this video. Let's get started with an overview of the overall pattern. You'll notice here that we do have that moderate risk of excessive rainfall there in California today, with winter weather stretching all the way from California up into Montana. And then from North Dakota all the way to the Northeast, we have winter weather with our secondary system and heavy rainfall as well, including some thunderstorms stretching all the way from Texas into places like Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, areas like that. As we head into tomorrow, you'll notice there that excessive rainfall risk remains in California. We'll get into more detail on that soon. And then we also have up in Wisconsin into the Northeast that winter weather threat with, again, widespread rainfall stretching all the way from Texas off the East Coast. 3 days out from now, slight risk of severe thunderstorms in place. We're not going to be talking about the severe weather threat today, but starting on tomorrow's video, we'll be going into more detail on that. You'll also notice there in California that we remain with some atmospheric river problems, although it is much lower end than it was the previous 2 days, with more winter weather heading into the Midwest and northern plains, with yet another winter weather system expected to move through there, the same one associated with the Californian problems. Let's get into the day 3 through 7 hazardous weather outlook. You'll notice there heavy precipitation is expected to remain in California, with heavy snow in northern parts of the Pacific Northwest. Cold temperatures are possible in Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota, with heavy rainfall and severe thunderstorms being possible in the southern plains associated with two different systems. And then again, heavy precipitation, strong winds, heavy snow, and heavy rain, all a possibility up there in the northeastern U.S. as well in the day 3 through 7 time period. And of course, we can't forget about Alaska, who's expected to get quite cold as well. All right, let's talk about the winter storm and flash flooding threat associated with the storm that'll be bringing high snow levels and heavy rain to California Thursday and Friday. So that is today and tomorrow. The strong winter storm is currently ongoing and will continue to affect the West Coast and California through Friday with a burst of heavy precipitation. The heavy rain and high snow levels are likely with a warm system which will be causing snowpack to have rain falling on it up to 8,500 feet. And the highest snow levels, the heaviest rainfall and highest rainfall rates are expected in central California, with considerable flooding impacts to catastrophic flooding impacts being a possibility across the San Joaquin Valley. Rain and snowmelt will lead to flooding as well. The most significant snowmelt overall flooding threat is expected below 5,000 feet in elevation with areas of shallow snowpack. Creeks and streams in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada will be most vulnerable as well to flooding from rain and snowmelt. Heavy wet snow at higher elevations is also an expectation there, and this will lead to difficult travel combined with an already steep snowpack, which may lead to increasing impacts from the depth and weight of the snow. Let's jump into today's excessive rainfall risk, a moderate risk for places like Monterey and San Francisco, California there. Places like Chico also there, and then as we head down the Sierra Nevadas there in central California, you'll notice there on the front end that moderate risk of excessive rainfall there as well, that being at least a 40% chance of rapid onset flooding occurring around those areas. So if you're in a flood vulnerable area, especially in the state of California within that moderate risk, you need to be keeping an eye on things. That's a level 3 out of 4 with a level 2 out of 4 surrounding that and a level 1 out of 4 surrounding that. We then have a high risk. This is a level 4 out of 4 for excessive rainfall tomorrow, the first one ever issued in the month of March, 2 days out. This is for a 70% chance of rapid onset flooding due to excessive rainfall in flood vulnerable areas. Monterey is within that. A slight risk for San Francisco, and then again there in central California, right along the Sierra Nevadas, that moderate and high risk of excessive rainfall. Los Angeles in a slight risk tomorrow as well. That's a level 2 out of 4. And San Diego in a level 1 out of 4. So, serious stuff for sure. A high risk is the real deal. Here's what we mean by that. Weather Prediction Center high-risk days for excessive rainfall only occur on about 4% of days in the year. but they account for 39% of all fatalities and 83% of all damages. So 4% of days in the year account for 39% of fatalities and 83% of damages. That's a big deal. Tomorrow, unfortunately, looks to be one of those days. So if you are within the high risk especially, and even in the moderate risk, you need to be having a plan ready to go, as serious flooding concerns are definitely in place. If you're in any risk for excessive rainfall, for that matter, you should have a flooding plan, but especially if you're in the upper echelon risks tomorrow, this is the real deal. You need to keep an eye on it. You need to make sure you know what to do in the event that flooding does strike your area. Let's talk about 3 days out now. This is the end of the atmospheric river event with a marginal risk, level 1 out of 4, at least 5% chance of rapid onset flooding. That stretches all the way from, again, down the Sierra Nevadas up to places like Chico, off the west coast there north of San Francisco. So again, lower risk on the day 3 outlook. However, it still shouldn't be discarded completely. You should still be remaining weather aware if within that marginal risk, and more updates will be coming out with time as we have more information on that. Let's talk about rainfall totals now. You'll notice there places possibly getting up near a foot. This is going to be pretty serious there, especially, again, along the Sierra Nevadas. That's where our highest rainfall totals are expected. But well over 4 inches is a possibility, especially in local areas there along the western coast. And again, that's why we are going to be seeing some of that rapid onset flooding, also known as flash flooding, being a real possibility across the state of California. Again, especially in Northern California into Central California along the Sierra Nevada. Let's talk about the winter side of things now. An extreme winter storm severity index, level 5 out of 5, is in place on those mountainous peaks of the Sierra Nevada and the higher elevations there in Northern California. So this is also rather serious, and again, it's about as serious as it gets, just like the flood threat. So no matter where you are on the northern portion of California, you're either getting that flooding threat or that winter threat, and that's going to be due to snow load, snowfall, and things of that nature. You'll also notice the official forecast here from the National Weather Service showing places getting well over 60 inches of snow. Wouldn't be surprised to see 90, 100 inches being a possibility in some parts of the Sierra Nevada, especially on the southern ends of things, and wet, heavy snow, again, is a real possibility there, so that could cause quite the snow load as well. And then as we head north, again, you'll still see there over 2 feet being a possibility of snow as we head up to Northern California and the more mountainous peaks as well. Well, here's a weather model. This is starting as of 6 p.m. Central Time. That'd be 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And you'll notice there that we do see, or Pacific Time, I'm sorry. You'll notice there that endless stream, it almost feels like, of moisture just surging into the Californian coastline as we head here into the next day. You'll notice there, that's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon tomorrow. We continue to have heavy rainfall and snow occurring through California. And then as we head into the evening hours, you'll notice there that begins to move out a bit. We begin to see a bit of a break as we head into the 11th there on Saturday. However, still some rainfall and snowfall lingering as this major event finishes unfolding. All right, let's talk about flood safety now. Here are 3 simple steps for it. You need to get to higher ground if you're in a flash flood warning. You don't want to drive into water, and you want to remain informed. So do not travel tomorrow if you don't have to. Get your documents together. Get to higher ground. Know what that place is going to be in case you're in a flash flood warning. And don't be surprised if you hear terminology such as a flash flood emergency being used tomorrow for some of these events, as flash flood emergencies are the upper level classification of flash flood warnings. If you don't have a plan just yet for severe weather or flash flooding, no matter where you are in the United States, you can make a plan at ready.gov/makeaplan. Here's the overview now for the Midwestern winter storm. This is lasting all the way until the 12th. This is going to move from the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes this evening, and the northern mid-Atlantic will get hit here on Friday. So, major level 4 out of 5 winter weather severity index impacts are a possibility from this in the most extreme regions. And again, there you can see those snowfall totals stretching all the way up to over half a foot. Here are the key messages. The winter storm is set to track through the lower Great Lakes tonight into early Friday, bringing periods of heavy snow with rates up to 1 inch per hour at times. Additional snowfall accumulations of 4 to 8 inches are expected across Wisconsin, far northern Illinois, southern Michigan, and east of Lake Erie, with travel impacts being a real possibility on snow-covered roads, reduced visibility and difficult travel also being possible. And as the storm moves east, several inches of snow are expected across the northern mid-Atlantic, including north-central Pennsylvania and the Poconos, which will cause some travel impacts and disruptions as well. Let's talk about the Winter Storm Severity Index. Those major impacts in North Dakota with moderate impacts throughout places like the Twin Cities there in Minnesota, heading into Wisconsin, places like Madison and those moderate impacts. And as we head south, Chicago there near those moderate impacts, kind of on the borderline between the minor and moderate. And then again, there you can see places around Detroit. And then as we head towards the northern Indiana-Ohio border as well, they are within those minor to moderate impacts. And then as we head into the northeast, minor impacts currently expected from the system. Let's talk about snowfall totals. Over a foot of snow being a possibility according to the Weather Service up there in North Dakota, especially on the northern side of things, with half a foot of snow in that purple swath stretching all the way from there into Minnesota, with again some purple splotches there across from Wisconsin all the way into the northeast. Don't pay attention to exact locations, pay attention to general trends, but again, this is the general idea of what we're expecting right now. And here's a second opinion from a weather model throughout the entirety of this event. Again, just over a foot being possible there in northern North Dakota, but a more robust swath of snowfall being expected than the Weather Service. So maybe the Weather Service is hinging on the lower end of model solutions, or this model is being aggressive. However, over half a foot of snow is possible all the way from North Dakota, stretching all the way into the northeast. That is the general consensus from the Weather Service and this national blend of models. Well, what do you do if you're in a winter storm? If you're caught outdoors in it, you want to find shelter immediately, and while you're doing that, you want to cover exposed body parts, melt snow for drinking water, and exercise. Keep yourself moving. This is important so you don't suffer from frostbite nor hypothermia. If you are having to travel, if you have to get in a vehicle, make sure that you're being extremely careful. The way the Weather Service puts it, ice and snow, take it slow. Clean off your vehicle before driving, not just for you, but those around you, as it can cause accidents. You want to keep it slow and don't use cruise control, as you don't know when you're going to lose traction on your car and want to have as much control over it as possible so you can correct for a slide if need be. And finally, leave extra distance between yourself and other vehicles, especially snowplows, in case you need to stop suddenly, so that way you don't have as much of a risk of hitting other vehicles. All right, well, you can join us at the link below on our Discord server for Advective Weather, where we're going to be talking about this winter weather event, as well as Cyclone Freddy out there in the southern Indian Ocean. You can also subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoy the content you're seeing, and we'll have more updates on this as time goes on. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.